When I was just a young boy, I remember being fascinated by the older boys who were allowed to have a pocket knife. They would sit there with their whetstone, and they'd either put a little oil on it, or I'd even seen, for some reason, spit on it, and I never understood that. And they'd just sit and work that pocket knife and put an edge on it, or so I thought, until I was old enough to have one. And I realized if you didn't know what you were doing, didn't have that angle just right, it didn't help at all, and it was very tedious. Later, of course, as I got older, I got into woodworking, and my chisels, of course, would get dull, and it had to be sharpened. Well, whetstone doesn't really work on that. So I thought I was just the top dog when I got a bench grinder. Unfortunately, there was also the problem with angles, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can ruin one. Now, first of all, I want to show you this. On a bench grinder, I love them, I really do, I have one. You've only got about 3/4 of an inch to deal with here. When it is on, if that angle isn't just right, again, you can ruin a chisel. But what happens if you've got a chisel larger than that 3/4 of an inch? Well, again, you can damage that chisel very easily. So imagine how happy I was to find the Worksharp. I love this station. This is a dry sharpening system, which means no oil, no liquids whatsoever. Very easy to operate. If you look, I mean, you've got a very large surface to deal with. Instead of a wheel that's up on its edge, they've turned it on its side. Well, that makes perfect sense. And everything you need comes right out of the box. You've got all of these materials, including a DVD that tells you how to operate everything. Let's start with a chisel. In fact, if you look, I don't know if you can see this. That one, let me see if I can get something a little better. There you go. Can you see how rough that edge is? So we're going to see if we can't take care of that. What you've got here in the system is a heat sink right here. It's got an adjustable fence. You've even got preset angles here, so you can go from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35. I'm going to go put a 25-degree bevel on this. Now, even out of the box, here's a good tip for all of you woodworkers out there. Even out of the box, a tool needs to be sharpened, because most manufacturers put a very rough bevel edge on it, and what they don't do, which is what you should do first, is flatten the back of those flat tools first. You can't do that with turning tools, but with flat tools, you want to flatten the back first. Here's what we want to do. We're going to turn on the Worksharp. Always on the right-hand side, you want the wheel going away from you. Hit your heel, 2 fingers, and down. That's all you need to do to flatten that back. Now we're ready to sharpen it. Of course, we set our angle. When you are going to sharpen a chisel, let's say, let's set our fence. You don't want to crank that down, because if it's cranked, you can't move it. Just loosen it slightly. The best method is not to put it up there and leave it, but to plunge and pull, because that's going to decrease the heat buildup. If it gets too hot, you can't leave your fingers on it. So watch this. Come up, plunge and pull, plunge and pull, plunge, pull. We're going to do that several times, but even now you can see that it's starting to take that edge off of there. But what if you do have wood carving tools or turning tools? Got those curved edges on it. You can't really sharpen it on the top side. You can if you're really good, but you're flying blind. Check out what they have with this Worksharp. You've got a slotted wheel and a slotted sanding disc. Again, it just applies to it with adhesive backing. That takes the place of this wheel. And upside down, when this is actually turned on, it's transparent, and you can actually see the tool between those slots as it rotates around, and watch the material as it comes off. This is an amazing system. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned pro, a regular do-it-yourselfer, or a complete novice. The investment in what you will save with all of those tools that will last for years, well worth it.